Welcome back to the Sad Dad Games podcast. I'm Shan.
I'm Eric.
I'm Tucker.
And I'm Emily.
Yay,
Well,
welcome back,
what?
Emily. We haven't seen you in a while.
I'm finally back.
Yes.
I'm always on the back end, but
Yay.
no, I'm not always. I haven't joined for all of Death Stranding. Couldn't keep
Yeah.
up with it.
Come along, Afterthought. Yes, we're going to be playing the seminal Resident Evil remake. And I'll be playing along with the
Is it really the remake?
the
I think
original.
I'm the only one actually playing the remake. Shan's playing the original.
I'm playing the
Eric's
remake.
playing in VR.
Yeah, well, the
Well, that's
remake
still
is
the
in
remake.
VR. Yeah, it's the remake version in VR.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I've played the original at least a dozen times, so I'm pretty familiar with the original as well.
Mm-hmm. And Emily's not playing it right now, but she's played it recently.
Yeah, I played it, I think, within this last year, and then I just watched my niece all the way through playing it again like a month or so, maybe 2 months ago. So it's still kind of fresh.
Yeah, Tucker, are you actually playing it, or are you just watching the cutscenes online? Okay, so this is one
No.
that you'll actually play.
Yeah. So, the thing is like just behind the scenes stuff is we were originally going to do this Resident Evil 4 remake a while ago, and then Death Stranding 2 got announced, so we decided to play Death Stranding instead. So I've been hanging on to this one for a while, eager to play it. So I'm actually very excited. It's giving me, when we did Silent Hill 2, the remake, kind of vibes. Because for me, this is a pretty fresh game. I've only played it one other time, and that's when it came out on the GameCube 85,000 years ago.
Wait, Tucker, is this your first time playing the remake?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
this
that's
is
so
my- this is my-
exciting. The remake
This
is
is my
great.
second. This is my second time playing the game ever. So I'm definitely the
Wait, and you've only played the original once?
yeah.
Oh
So
man, you're in for a great time.
I didn't
This is
own.
great
I didn't
games.
own the original. My friend owned the original, so it was one that I borrowed, played, gave back, and never played it again. And then Resident Evil 5 is one that I actually own on the Xbox and played the piss out of. So
Yeah,
that one
so
I
he
have
knows
a
the
lot-
heck
a
out
lot
of
fonder
Resident Evil
memories.
5.
So I feel like before we
So no
we start-
spoilies.
Yeah, no spoilers. Before we start, should we maybe all go through and say how many times we have purchased Resident Evil 4 and on how many different consoles? Maybe this will be just for me and Shan, but
Okay,
Yeah, I
go
say
for
I
it.
am one on one console.
yeah. So Tucker has bought the remake one time. Yeah.
Well, you
let's see.
bought the original.
No,
No,
my
he
friend
just
had
said he
it.
borrowed it from a friend.
Oh, borrowed
Yeah,
it.
and
Sorry,
I borrowed
yeah.
it.
Okay.
So that's why I only played it once. Is because it was my
Okay.
friend's copy and not my own.
Yeah. So I bought the original on my GameCube. I had an Indigo GameCube with Twilight Princess stickers all over it, and I bought Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube. I played through it. It's fantastic. And then I can't remember if I took it to GameStop or if I lent it to a friend and they lost it, but I'm pretty sure I bought it a second time for GameCube because it went away somehow. And so that's 2 times. And then I bought it again on my Xbox 360 and then again on my Xbox One. So 4. And then I bought it again on my Switch. And so 5. And then I bought the remake on my PS5. And so I think 5, 6 if you include the remake. That's how many times I have purchased this game. Because it's so good, I want to have it on everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Twice. The GameCube and this one.
How have I bought it more than Shan?
Yeah, so I have Shan's Steam Deck right now. So a year ago, I borrowed it from him, and I started playing through all the Resident Evils. I used to sit and watch him play them when we were kids far too many times, and he would just sit there and just replay the games as much as he could and speed run them all the time. So I've always been familiar. I also read the books as a kid, so and I've watched the movies. So it's I know Resident Evil, but I was too freaked out to play them as a kid. I don't like the eagle eye view when you don't know if you're pointing at a zombie or not. So I finally borrowed the Steam Deck and I started going through all of them from way back from the originals. And I wasn't even doing the remake on most of them. So I was doing that. I've gotten up to Resident Evil 4. I tried to play on the Steam Deck, but the controls were very frustrating and it was GameCube. And so Shan let me borrow his Resident Evil 4 on PS5.
I have gotten Emily and Eric into Resident Evil. You had
And our
played it a
niece.
little bit, but I got you to go through the franchise a little more aggressively.
Yeah, so Shan got me a little. He convinced me to get a little deeper into things. I've played a bunch of the RE2 remake and the RE3 remake, which are both great. And once the PSVR 2 came out, I played Resident Evil Village for the first time in VR. That was fantastic. And I mean, I had played Resident Evil 4 from way back when, but that was really the only one I had like really played until recently-ish. Actually, that's not true. I played through Resident Evil 1 as well on my DS back in the day.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Ooh. So the reason that I never rebought Resident Evil 4 is because I just always replayed the GameCube version. I just
Classic.
I still have my GameCube. It's the version that I'm still playing on my CRT right now. I just still have my copy.
Tell us
and I'm
about your
still playing
CRT, Shan.
it.
Okay,
Make
so
me
we
Bob.
Don't know.
We have given
Again?
Shan so much shit about his CRT,
Uh-huh.
but I have to come to his defense here. Seeing it in person, firing up the GameCube on it, seeing Shan's elaborate wire setup to get true colors, worth every
And
pretentious
upscaling.
Shan has ever used. Because
Jealous.
it is amazing.
I have
Yeah.
Retro Tink upscaler as well. And
I was just going to ask if you had Retro Tink upstairs.
yeah, I got it before they stopped, before they were incapable of importing it due to tariffs, and so it's a relic now, I guess, temporarily. But it's just like, and I got the digital. I finally got the digital port thing for the GameCube because you know how it has like that special port at the back of the GameCube that none of us ever understood what that was for. It's so that you could
It's a
get
mystery
these
plug.
things.
Yeah.
It's a mystery plug. None of us
What does
understand
it do?
that's
No
for.
one knows. Yeah.
It's so you can get
Only
these
Nintendo
true
knows.
colors to come out of it, and that's for special CRTs like the one I have.
Of course. Only the best. Yeah.
It is gorgeous. But like the natural anti-aliasing of these textures and like the fog and everything, like everything just looks absolutely gorgeous playing it in the original instead of like this hideous HD look of playing it with all of these
Low res
ports and
textures,
whatever.
but a high resolution output. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's not how it's supposed to look.
So I'm coming from the opposite end of things. Like I played the remake once through previously, and I really loved it. I think it's basically a perfect remake. And so this time I'm playing through it on the PSVR 2, which is very, very cool. And I love to like, it's fun to play games that are not designed for VR, but then kind of worked into a VR situation, especially the Resident Evil games. Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4 were not designed for VR, but they're the best VR games I've ever played. I'm just flabbergasted by how fun they are to play, how, you know, great it feels to manually reload the weapons. And so from the opposite technical spectrum, I'm having this really like high fidelity, immersive, all-encompassing experience, and Shan is going straight for the nostalgia. And so getting different experiences here from the same core experience, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is incredibly expensive to go for real nostalgia, by the way. So not recommended. Also, so Eric, you've been had on the ports as far as buying it every time, but did you know that Resident Evil, as far as I could do my research, it is the 5th most ported game in history?
Is the first one Skyrim? The other
No,
is
Skyrim
GTA 5
is
on there.
GTA 5.
Yeah.
Skyrim 5 is number 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Wait,
at
what's the list
official
now? I'm
ports.
curious. What's the list?
Okay, so if
Do it in
this
your
list
best
isn't
David
wrong,
Letterman impersonation and go through your top 10.
but I can't do an impression. So Tetris at 200 plus.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Tetris is
Okay.
on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Doom, but it's innumerable because
Well,
there are so many unofficial ports.
People are running Doom on their smart fridges and like yeah, whatever. What can it run Doom? Yeah.
But I don't know how many official ports. I couldn't get a number on that. But the reason it has so many unofficial ports is, you know, because of John Carmack when he was, you know, creating his engine and all that. He didn't have any external libraries, so his engine all just like runs on source code. So it all just like exists within that package. And he also was a big believer in open source. So his guerrilla marketing strategy for releasing Doom 1 was to just like make it open source. He just like released it. And
well, that's why there's so many mod things for Doom. People make their crazy mod levels and extra content, and that are basically like endorsed by the developers. People like fans would make extra content and they'd be like, put it in the real game, it's fine. Like they were very loosey-goosey with that. Yeah, I'm in the middle of like a Doom renaissance, because I played Doom 2016 a while ago and I got in a mood again, and I just finished Doom Eternal, and I'm wanting to go back and play some of the older Doom games. And so it's interesting you bring that up, because I am smack dab in the middle of a torrid love affair with the Doom series. It's very good stuff.
Just 2 days ago, I had just read Masters of Doom, and it was a book about that chronicled the story of John Carmack and John Romero and how they had created their company and had a falling out and all of that.
Yeah, and then John Romero went on to make the world's best game ever, Daikatana. Look it up. It's not at all an incredibly tragic story and a fall from grace for weird rock star game dev John Romero.
Yeah. I mean, neither of them had as glamorous of life as, you know, well, I mean, you know, they were legends in their own right, but they didn't have the best home life because they sacrificed it all to be legends. And Carmack arguably came out the best on the other end because he just kept hitting his engine.
Yeah,
so
well,
hard.
Carmack was like Doom and Quake, and then he left around right after the time Rage came out. So
yeah. All right, so let's keep going. So
anyways,
Pac-Man
back to Resident Evil. Yeah.
no, Pac-Man at 28, Minecraft at 17, Resident Evil 4 at 13.
Ooh, can't even beat Minecraft. I'm kind of surprised by that. But here's the
Minecraft
real
is
question.
very portable, yeah.
Have any of you played Resident Evil 4 on Zeebo?
No.
Everyone's favorite place to play Resident Evil 4.
No. No, I have not.
Yeah,
So-
no one has.
So this
Not a real
game-
console.
But this is funny because I think it was Shinji Mikami, the original writer-director for Resident Evil 4, had infamously said he would perform Harakiri if this game were ever ported beyond the GameCube.
What?
Well, that was so originally Capcom
Looking up
had
his
made a
obituary
deal.
right now.
Yeah, look him up and we'll make him do it. So Capcom had originally made a deal with Nintendo for, it was like casually referred to as the Capcom 5, where it was like the GameCube needed help basically because it was an amazing system, but for some reason it wasn't selling as well as people wanted it to. And so Capcom, big supporter of Nintendo, was like, hey, well, you can have these 5 games. It was like Beautiful Joe, and then some other ones that I don't remember, but Resident Evil 4 was one of those games.
Red 7 or Red 9, I believe, which is why one
Yes.
of the guns is named one after that.
Yes, that's right. And so it was like Resident Evil 4 was going to be one of those games that was like, it's just for the GameCube. It's the only place where you can find it. And then like right before it launched on the GameCube, they announced that they were also working on a PS2 port that was going to have extra content. And it was like, come on, Capcom. You didn't even let it release. And then that caused so many people to just like, well, I'll just wait for the PS2 version. And so that really...
And it is not as good.
No, it's not, because the GameCube was a special little machine. It was just... I remember playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time at a friend's house. It's actually a mutual friend, Shan Felipe. Playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time at his house, and like being in the castle and shooting a rocket launcher at a distant wall and looking at the explosion and being like, that's the most realistic thing I've ever... Like, how does that explosion look like real life? I just and we'd like I saved the game because rocket launchers only have one ammo. You save the game, and then I'd go out and I'd shoot the rocket launcher, and then I'd reload the save and do it again just so I could look at it and be like, that's the most realistic thing I've ever
Before
seen
you
in a
got
video
the
game.
infinite rocket launcher.
Yeah.
I played Resident Evil 4 with him a lot as well, but we weren't friends at the time, so I guess we would take turns going to his house to play Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I don't know. We were Shannon and I were both individually friends with this kid we went to school with named Felipe, but we never crossed paths. Yeah.
I think I've met Felipe. I know who that is.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I don't know what he's up to nowadays, but we were real tight in middle school.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Act 1, The Village. Arguably one of the greatest intros to any game ever made in history. I can't think of anything better. Can you? Like,
As far as like intros go, I remember being, for different reasons, like Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64 at the time were really like, I remember playing Super Mario 64 and they just kind of drop you in that 3D area and you just kind of run around outside of Peach's castle and just being like, oh my gosh. But as far as like actual raw, like really
Halo's
excellent intros
pretty
to
high
game,
up there.
yeah, I'd have to think about it.
This.
But RE4 is, you know, with the whole like the swarm of the Las Plagas that you have to fight off in the village, it's such a tense, fun encounter that it's super high up there. Yeah.
Well, and it completely subverts the genre. Instead of slow, methodical build-up, it's absolute slaughterhouse right from the start.
It's just high stakes, red light, green light, zombies moving slow and then fast and slow and then fast.
Yeah. All right, so they added a new cutscene here at the beginning of the remake. They show a cult ritual, there's chanting, and they show a hiker because there was two hikers that had wandered off. One is here, this woman that kind of resembles the president's daughter. She has the Las Plagas insignia on her face, and then they show that she gets her head chopped off. And so the Las Plagas cult is a syncretic religion that was formed in like the 1600s that's supposed to be kind of Spanish Inquisition adjacent. And the Spanish Inquisition didn't really do beheadings. That was more of a secular punishment, but they did do burnings. So when they take the La Policia and they start burning them, that was a religious punishment that the Inquisition was really into. So they did pick and borrow from things that the Spanish religious fanatics were interested in. Yeah. Which is what, in case you were curious what syncretic means, it's like borrowing, like an amalgamation of religion. You kind of pick and choose things from other religions to create a new religion. And that's what Los Iluminados are. Yeah. Nice. And then we get like a remake of that intro. I love that these original Resident Evil games have like just this voiceover sort of VHS like intro. It's
Resident
like
Evil 4. Yeah.
I can't make the noise.
Yeah. It's like you're
that was
popping
really
in
good,
a VHS.
Tucker. That was a really good noise. Yeah.
That's how
to watch a movie.
Soda versus the bell or whatever, the gong. It's a gong-ish noise.
It's gong-ish. Yeah.
It's not quite a gong. It's gong-like.
Yeah.
And it's like their excuse to kind of inject a lot more realism than is actually available while you're playing the game during the cutscenes. So you get to see, like in the original Resident Evil games, you get to see news reporters reporting on some of the attacks taking place in Raccoon City and stuff. And here, Leon is saying September 30th, 1998, a day I'll never forget. And it was his first day on the force, and that's when Raccoon City got overtaken, and for some reason nobody told him. Maybe it's because the entire force had been slaughtered, and he showed up anyway. He met Claire Redfield, and he, maybe it was just some light hazing. That's all it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. They're like, let's all infect ourselves with the T virus to hate the new guy.
They were out playing
Mr.
bingo.
X on him.
I love in the RE2 remake, I don't know if this does this in the original because I actually haven't played the original Resident Evil 2, but I love how you like get to Leon's desk and there's like a banner on it that's like, welcome
It's
Leon.
there.
And it's just like, and the precinct is just in shambles. It's like, have a good first day killing all your coworkers who've been turned into zombies.
Yeah,
welcome
that's all
to Raccoon City. Yeah.
So after that, he's asked, quote unquote, to join a top secret government program. He's coerced because he knows too much about Raccoon City, they razed the city to the ground. And since he survived and has experience, they co-opt him for this program, and you see him training. That'll come back later in this game, but since Tucker doesn't remember anything, I'm not going to talk about that too much. It's one of the only spoilers you could possibly get from this game.
We want to keep it fresh so that Tucker gets like he's playing it for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right, so then we get in the car with La Policia, and we get some of the famous Leon quips. We get the campiness. It's a little modernized, but they brought it here, and it's delivered perfectly, such that it feels right for this era, but they didn't bastardize it. And that's when I knew that they had made this game pitch perfect tonally.
Yeah, it hit me. The pitch perfectness so far has been when Leon does a front flip out the window. And I'm like, oh, they got it. They kept this. Done.
So the original Resident Evil 4 is a perfect blend of like B-movie camp and then ultra serious like tense moments. And I feel like the remake ramped up the ultra seriousness just a little bit without sacrificing that like super fun B-movie camp that Resident Evil 4 is so well known for. And it just is that it rides that line pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, because like the original games are basically the Evil Dead. But when they got to Resident Evil 7, they wanted to ground it pretty heavily, and
and I like that game is scary as hell.
Yeah, I liked both directions, but there is something, a flavor that was sacrificed that you're very nostalgic for, and I don't know how, but these remakes since Resident Evil 2 is just absolutely nailing it. They fused the old with the new, and I feel perfectly nostalgic while also taking my franchise very seriously.
Yeah. I think the thing that I was most concerned with the remake, I was like, you can change everything. You can change like whatever you feel like needs to be changed. But when you do that initial fight with the villagers, like the Los Plagas in the village, and then the church bell rings and they all go, like they leave. And then Leon Kennedy goes, "Where's everybody going? Bingo?" And I was like, that's the only thing that needs to stay in the game. Everything else can change. Like I need Leon to question if they're going to bingo, because it's just this perfect, it's the perfect amount of camp, and I love it.
Yeah. And unironically, you need an amazing voice actor to deliver that unironically and perfectly, so that it's not campy but campy at the same time, right? Like it's a campy line that can't be delivered in a campy way.
I just looked it up, and the actor's name is
campy.
Nick Apostolides. I'm just going to call him Nick. We all know I'm bad at names.
Apostolides or something.
Apostolides, yeah. And so
I haven't heard Eric butcher a name for a few weeks now.
It's been at least a week, yeah. I butcher names on the daily. You're just not here for it.
I couldn't find anything else that I even knew him from. I don't know where they found him, but he is an incredible voice actor.
He's great. Yeah.
They got Leon perfect. All right, so
I need to look up the original voice actor real quick so we can credit him as well. The original voice actor, Paul Mercer. Yeah, he's done a bunch of VO stuff for back in the day. But yeah, Paul Mercer's great. He's the original Leon Kennedy.
Okay. So yeah, his first line, come out of the gate swinging. You didn't come out here to roast marshmallows, or maybe you did. I can't deliver it like he did, but you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's like this gravelly. It's perfect is what it is.
Yeah. All right. So then you get La Policia. He goes out to pee, and then he just starts wandering off. And it's like, okay, you're dead. You're already dead, right?
You've seen horror movies before, right? Come on, guy.
Yeah.
Also, who wanders after peeing?
Don't you do that? You go pee outside and then you walk far away from your car? No?
Yeah, I'm not a post-piss wanderer.
Yeah. All right, so this intro is pretty darn similar to Resident Evil 8 intro, except during a different time of day. So the other officer asks you to go find him, and you just start wandering through the woods. And so it feels like Resident Evil 8 was like their workshop for how they were going to deliver Resident Evil 4, and then they were going to tweak whatever part of the formula wasn't working in order to perfect Resident Evil 4 Remake. And I that was a perfect call. I loved it. But just immediately, like whatever was sparse in detail due to hardware limitations and software limitations of the GameCube, this game is just absolutely dense with detail. They packed it. You are just in the woods, and it's atmospheric. It's foggy, and it feels like I lived in Portugal for a while. I've been in woodsy areas. Like, it feels like you're in a villagey area that is in the Iberian Peninsula. That feels pretty accurate.
Yeah, the RE engine that Capcom uses to develop most of their in-house games is like
Reach for the Moon engine.
It's so good. It's a phenomenal, like, the foliage density, and I think in the RE4 remake they have some ray traced shadows and reflections, and it's an incredibly capable engine. Even like can be scaled down pretty significantly. Played some games on Switch with the that use the RE engine, and it's like those are some of the best looking games on Switch. Monster Hunter Rise comes to mind, and it's fantastic. The RE4 remake is one of the best looking games I've ever played.
Yeah, I was always disappointed at the beginning of PS5 because I wanted to start seeing the advent of new graphic technology, and it was always, well, this one has 4K, or this one has 60 FPS, or this one has ray tracing, and it was always one of the three or two of the three. And then Resident Evil 8 came out, and it's like, no, we have all three. And I was like, of course this one did it. And it's because they knew what they were aiming for, and this game had the ability to say, well, it's because you're in corridors, and we can constrain that and use that to cull assets and stuff like that in order to allow some limited version of all those things. And so it's obviously not full ray tracing or anything like that, but their engine just also is very capable of delivering all of that, and they are always iterating on that engine to scale on every generation. And so I just love that, like, my franchise is always at the forefront of pushing technology forward. They are I just love that I hitched my wagon to the right franchise here.
Capcom's been bringing their A game lately. They're on the top of their game right now.
Yeah, I think they have been lauded as like the top publisher for the last couple of years because they don't miss, and right now studios just can't afford to miss, but they are pushing out bangers on every release. And like Resident Evil also, like for like a lot of studios play it safe, and they're just pushing out safe titles that don't push the boundaries in any way as far as mechanics go. But Resident Evil, every single entry is also experimenting with their mechanics in some interesting way that makes everything feel fresh. That's really fun.
Well, and I love how the last few have, for free, just added like a VR update if you have the PSVR. I think they're both PSVR 2. I don't know if you can get them on PC that way, but it's like I think the Resident Evil 4 one came out like almost a year later, but it was free. It was like, if you own the game, you can just play it all through again completely in VR. Like, that's super cool. It's a game that I've always wanted to play in VR, even in the GameCube era, like, or as soon as VR technologies kind of started to become a thing, like, ooh, I'd love to play like a big, like, a horror style game. And one of the first ones that came to mind was Resident Evil 4. And so now I get to do that, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you get to the lodge, and here in the original, you just this is where you learn how to shoot, but here they take that away from you so that this guy comes swinging at you, and you in a cutscene, he kicks him against the wall and his neck breaks. And so then we get introduced to this new animation of like La Plaga sort of animating out of his neck. And it's gruesome. It's a fantastic introduction to this new game in Sinister. And you get, I don't know, I just love that they subverted it and made it more interesting.
Well, and that's, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but that's a running theme throughout the remake, is it's like, it felt like playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time again, because it felt true to the original experience, but it kept finding ways to like surprise me in little and big ways, where I kind of felt like I knew what was coming next. And sometimes I would, as a fan of the game, be like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And it was exciting to like see something that I loved. And then there were other times where it was like, I thought something was going to happen and it would just completely surprise me or pull the rug out from under me. But it didn't feel like it wasn't respecting the original source material. It was just finding new ways to surprise me. And so I really enjoyed the remake for playing through the first time.
Right. It felt like every single thing was true to the original, but they twisted it just a little bit, so I was always happy. And it's exactly what you said, but yeah, exactly, because right after this you see there's a dead wolf in a bear trap, and you're like, why the heck would they change one of the most important things about the game? And then later you find out, oh, they just moved it, but you think it's a gut punch, and it's like, no, we just wanted to dick punch you for some reason. But if you hadn't played the original, that's just like something that you don't even think about. But they're just giving blue balls to the fans, you know.
Yeah,
and I love
fun little ways to surprise you.
So
it's
is
just
it
passion.
optional to help the wolf?
Yeah.
But why wouldn't
Even
you?
in the
'Cause
original?
he's a good boy.
He is a good boy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a human being with
Right.
a soul, then it's not.
Okay. But I just have to point out, I just
Define
watched my
optional.
niece replay this game, or play this game in front of me. And so we were just going through it. And at the beginning, she immediately started attacking the animals. And one of the chickens shat out an egg because she was trying to attack it. And then she was like hitting the bowl and stuff. And when I told Shan, he was like, well, yeah, of course, I attack the animals too. I didn't know you
They
could
give
do
you
that.
eggs.
So
Yeah.
you're saying
It's
you're human
It's
for
free eggs.
Chickens are different than puppy dogs. And
You realize
cute little
eggs are
wolves,
very
literally.
valuable right now.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. As a baker, yes, I am very aware of the eggs in this economy, but I didn't
Also,
even
it's the best way to kill
think
Ramon.
to attack these animals.
Yes.
I'm just saying, you're a monster in your own ways. It's fine.
Shan is a monster in his own ways.
I don't kill the
Tell
animals
everyone
that
what
matter.
you do to the merchant, Shan. Yeah.
Oh yes, please.
We'll get
So one time, Shan and I played through the Resident Evil 4 together, like when we were roommates in college, and I sorry, I told you to tell the story and then I took it away from you, but it was a very frustrating experience because
Also,
of
didn't we
Shan's.
tell a story on a previous pod? I'm pretty sure
probably.
we've talked about
Yeah,
It needs
but-
to be retold.
Not everybody's
Yeah, it
watching
does.
everything, and almost nobody's watching anything at all in the first place. But so I would always know when the merchant was coming, and I would always say, "Hey, Eric, give me the controller. I want to play this part." And then I would run up to the merchant, and then I'd pull out my knife and I'd slash his throat, and I'd be like, "Don't worry, he was infected. We
He
had to
is.
do that." Well, half the time he's infected.
Right.
They don't all have red eyes, but I knew that they were infected, so I would have to take care of them for him. And
Well-
so I would, yeah.
I was infuriated because I was like, "How are we going to buy stuff, Shan? We're killing all the merchants. We can't buy anything. I needed first aid spray, and
No,
you just killed him."
No, you don't.
I've never bought first aid spray from
Well,
that.
that was a bad example, but like, I needed to upgrade my guns, and now I can't.
And sell your eggs.
Save it. Anyway, I love that nonsense. It's because like I know how to play the game. I know everything is coming, so I don't need to be that. I don't need all of the resources in the game. But if you don't know what's coming, you do need that stuff. And
I mean,
so
even if
it
you
was
do,
a
it's more
dick
fun
move.
to have powerful guns. What are you buying? That's what the merchant sounds like when Shan is playing.
Wait, Shan has to do his impersonation because he loves doing it.
What are you buying? What are you selling?
Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually infuriated that they took out the ability to kill the merchant.
I bet you were,
Oh,
you
they did?
sicko.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was not that actually was one of the worst parts of the remake. It was a disservice to the fans.
To the psychopaths. Yeah.
What did it hurt them to remove that?
It's got a point.
I honestly didn't know
Sound
that
like
you
you
couldn't
yearn
kill the
for those
merchant in
days,
the remake.
Shan.
All right. Well, anyway, we have to keep moving. But I love that you still get to jump out of the window when you climb up the lodge. And he just says, I'll let myself out. And he gets the window jump. He always jumps out with style. No matter
It's always
how
a front
high
flip.
up
Yeah.
the window, no matter how high up the window is, he always jumps out in style.
If I've learned anything from Ocarina of Time, is if you just roll at the very end, it doesn't matter how high up you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is you can just
He
roll.
does a front flip out the window and then he rolls and he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so when you get to the village, it is just scaled up chaos. The original, you always had to stop to shoot. And in that, they found the perfect balance of power of the guns and the ability to kick them when they're stunned. They could get stunned a lot more easily than in this one, I believe. You could all... So just the strength of your guns, the strength of being able to kick them and melee, and the strength of your knife, all of this balance had to be... It was one of the best balances of games I think I've ever seen, compared to like Halo also. But to then say, well, in this game, you're going to be able to walk while you shoot, it throws all of that out the window, and they have to completely reinvent what balance means for this game. And I think they actually nailed it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I died many a times because just the Resident Evil part of my brain of mostly 5, because 5 had the same mechanic as you had to stop to shoot, is I would just catch myself standing there, not moving. And it's like, oh, I can move. Like...
Yeah, one of the things that I can just move. One of the things I love about this experience in VR is it's really like, because when you're playing with the controller, you're like facing the way that you're pointing the gun, but in VR you can like have your gun out to the side while you're looking this way, and like even if you have multiple weapons, you can even dual wield. But in this first section, I guess you get the shotgun about halfway through this first encounter with in the village, but it's so fun to like have to manually reload, to push a button to drop the clip and then load in a new clip and then like pull the magazine, or not the magazine, the to like cock it to cock the handgun back, and it's like to have to do all those motions when normally when to reload you would just push a button and then Leon does it. It just adds this level of intensity where you're fumbling because you like there's bad guys running at you and you're just like I pushed the button and I put the clip in and and it's just I having a great time playing in VR.
Oh, and you can parry in this game. Fantastic addition.
Oh
Yeah, didn't know that
yeah.
till I started playing, and that was something would have been nice.
Although,
and you can parry a chainsaw. The guy comes at you with a chainsaw, and
that's
you just hold
way
up your
too
knife
comical.
and you're like,
knife or your gun, and you're like, this is fine.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
know that.
it takes a lot of the the durability from your knife, and it's
my
hard
knife
to pull off.
immediately
But like,
broke as I was.
yeah. But you technically can do it. Yeah.
Okay, but who actually tries to fight the chainsaw man? You,
No, you run
run
away
and
from
you
the chainsaw
scream
man
like
like
a
a
little
coward.
girl.
What are
Yeah.
you talking about? You always kill the chainsaw man with the shotgun they give you.
No, I
It's
run and I
way too
scream like
easy.
a little girl. And I
Okay.
piss myself. The,
You get
the
the
whole
handgun in one
beginning
hand.
sequence.
And the shotgun in the other,
And you just start blasting.
And you
I've
just
gotta
start
say,
blasting.
The redesign of the chainsaw guy is absolutely brilliant. They just ran with the idea of having these eye sockets coming out of the bag.
And
Where
they're all,
did
like,
that come
wonky
from?
and like kind of sideways in the remake. They're not like where human person's eyes should be. Like,
Yeah, I think they're La Plaga, like it's a La Plaga that's coming out of his bag.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could just be eye sockets. Like, it is so creepy and it is amazing. But like, there's no indication that I could tell that was ever in the original design.
yeah, it just looks like a really big bad guy with a bag on his head.
No, it was straight up just Texas Chainsaw Massacre originally, and then they infused this idea with it later. Okay, Easter egg. If you run up to the tower while they're all fighting you, you can scope the Campania and get them to walk into the chapel early.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, also in this another fun thing is in the original, if you go to like the bell tower, you can kind of like climb up the ladders and stand on the top there and pick the a lot of the Las Plagas off from a distance. But this is another example of the remake kind of subverting expectations in fun ways. But if you try to do that in the remake, if you climb up the bell tower and you get to the top, then the floor collapses underneath you and you just fall back to the bottom. And it's just like, you thought that your knowledge of the previous game would help you out, but it won't.
Yeah, you confused me at
dealing
first.
with these guys.
I was like,
yeah.
I did climb the tower and I immediately fell through the floor. What are you talking about? But yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. All right, so then you get to
be
the
safe.
then you assume everybody's gonna go play bingo, and so they all disappear for a little while.
But did you guys, like, the first time you're playing, did you realize that eventually they would leave, or did you keep trying to run around trying to find an exit or trying to kill them all off? Because that's what I did. I didn't realize that it was just going to take some time.
The first time I played, I was 12, so I don't remember. Yeah.
I was 33.
This is a core memory.
Or 32.
Shan's long/short ADH streak of speedrunning Resident Evil 4. I'm like, oh, maybe this is a part where I can just leave. And so I tried to just leave, and I got cornered by an entire trove of zombies and chainsaw guy and died.
Horrifying.
Yeah. Not this section.
Yeah, can't just leave in this section. Found that
I
out
think you
from
can just run around, though.
You
And
can.
I don't know that you have to attack them. I think you can just try to avoid them and wait it out.
Well, when my
No,
niece was
but-
playing, I kept trying to get her to go to the tower because I wanted it to collapse on her, and obviously she was screaming so hard, and she was just trying to run away from all of them. And I was like, I wish she was engaging a little bit more, and she doesn't know her lefts from her right. So when I was trying to get her to go to the tower, she wasn't going in the right direction.
Go left. Got it.
Left. And she just wasn't getting there. And so, yeah. But eventually, obviously, she ran out of time, and they finally walked away.
Yeah. Tucker, you don't start speedrunning until you have the infinite rocket launcher. So when you get to this section, you just blow the shit out of them.
I have limited time. I got to get through these first few chapters quickly, so maybe I can just leave.
But you don't. You just blow the shit out of them like with 5 rockets, and then you walk through.
Yeah.
All right. So after this section, you get to the rebuilt blue medallion gear area. It didn't have a gear before, so this is now a little bit of a puzzle area that they've added. And they added a boar head monster. I thought this was a fantastic new
I
monster.
love the
don't
boarhead
like
monsters.
him.
They're great.
No.
I mean, they're awful. I hate them.
Right.
But
He's
they're
a
good
step
addition.
below a chainsaw monster. I think he's a fantastic mini boss, and he fits right into the world.
Yeah, just another level of creepiness and fits alongside the cult part of things. It's just fantastic.
Is it a mask? Is he, or is he like?
It's a mask.
I thought
I was going to
it
say, I
was
think
A real
it's like
pig head.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, maybe.
No.
I don't know.
No, because like all the monsters here are
Google
some
it. What are they
level. I don't know.
Pigman.
Boarhead
okay.
monsters. Pigman. Bear pigman.
Half man, half bear, half pig. Man, bear, pig.
Bear pig. That's what it is. No, because like all the monsters in this are some variation, except I guess Verdugo of Las Plagas, and so
Yeah, it looks like a mask. It might be made out of like a real dead boar. It looks like it might be a bull, like a cow.
genuine face leather.
yeah, this actually just feels like it's more inspired
there's
by
different
Spanish
versions.
lore than
Yeah, some
by.
of them are like, it looks like a boar head that they've hollowed out, maybe like it's a mask made out of an actual boar. But then some of them is like a bull, like a cow. There's both variations. Interesting.
What I
They have
really
those
like.
big old hammers that they just smack you around with.
Gray area that it can swing it around. What I really like about this area, especially when you start speed running, is that if you don't kill them, I realize that Resident Evil 4, a lot of these areas are connected. There's no loading, right? So if you don't kill them, they all just start following you between areas. And so Man Bear Pig just starts following you. And the
He's
area
just with you for the rest of the game. Yeah.
yeah, the area right after this, you have to push a cart out of the way, and so you run past Man Bear Pig, and then you have to like go through this animation of pushing a cart out of the way, and then you just see in the distance Man Bear Peg leading the charge of like 6 to 8 villagers, and they're all like, what is it? Cogelo, agárralo, mátenlo.
I don't know what any of that means, but it is ingrained in my brain of the ahí está.
Yeah, exactly. Lord Salah.
Yeah. Core memories. Such a good time.
So it is very narrow, but while you're speedrunning, there's like a very narrow critical path where you can run past them after stunning them and still push the cart out of the way with it, and then slip by them right as like they're swinging at you and slip through the wagon and keep running.
I mean,
So
they're pretty
it's
slow moving in
tight.
general.
But it's tight because it
Yeah.
takes so long to push that thing.
Sometimes it's fun when like they're right next to you and they just like take so long to swing at you that you're able to just keep running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Journey to Louise. So you go past a bunch of bear traps and like these houses.
Also,
and
can we take a
what's
second? Screw
Yeah.
bear traps. They are the worst. That's all. Continue.
Okay,
I
so
never
couldn't
expect
remember-
them. They get me every time.
Every single time in the worst possible moment, you're just running away. It's like, oh, bear trap, and now I have to struggle to get out of this as I'm getting.
Well, they're set out for Man Bear Pig.
mauled.
Not for
That makes
you.
sense, yeah.
Yes.
It's
I've
wrong
never
place,
seen
wrong
a man
time.
bear pig. Yeah. Caught in one of these things. But they are always paired with like these trap mines as well. And people throwing these TNT
Sticks
at
of
you as
dynamite?
well. Sticks of dynamite, yeah.
I will say one of my favorite additions in VR is the trip mines. You can grab your knife and you can throw it, which is not something that you can normally do. But it means that when these trip mines are around, I don't have to waste a bullet setting them off. Same with the bear traps. Is if you throw your knife at it, it'll set them off, and it's just a nice little way to save bullets. So
Yeah. It is so frustrating, especially in the original, to like just tiptoe
inch closer,
inch closer to the bear trap and then stab because the tolerance on the analog stick is so like it is not very generous. So
It was like trying to change songs on the original iPads or the iPhone,
yeah.
iPods with the wheels, where you're like, I just want to change one song, and then and it's the same thing. You're trying to inch just a little bit closer. You're like, all right, I need to move just a little bit. Oh God, I got my leg.
It's like you're like staring right at the bear trap.
And then you swing your knife.
Bear trap! I gotta stop.
When
It's the exact same
Charlie steps in
thing.
dog
Old
poop,
school
and you're just like,
iPads.
hey, look, dog poop, and then he steps in it. That's exactly what it is.
Why did you step in that? Did you step on that on purpose? Wait, what was that in? What did you just say it was in? I can't remember.
Oh, Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. That's what. Right.
It's
It's the
Hero
lottery ticket
or
one.
Hate Crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
one.
All right. In the original, though, this is where you first get introduced to QuickTime events because they push a boulder at
Yay.
you.
The only bad thing Resident Evil 4 inflicted on the world is the proper birth of QuickTime events.
Yeah. It invented them, right?
I don't know.
It at least
there must be
popularized
another
them.
game. It popularized them. There must be another game that used them first. But yeah.
So Resident Evil 4, how did it do so many things? Because no, it didn't invent over the shoulder. It invented over the shoulder for the entire game, especially for shooters. But like that didn't exist. But then like you figure like The Last of Us, like they specifically said, yeah, we were inspired by Resident Evil 4, and like every game that came over this over the shoulder shooters and all that stuff, it was Resident Evil 4 inspired, having a camera over the shoulder for the entire
it's like
game.
Gears of War, Mass Effect, Dead Space, God of War, like so many games are when they have the shoulder, like the camera tightly, that's directly because of Resident Evil 4.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
and it feels so intuitive for this game. It's like it's a little clunky by today's standards because the camera is pretty
because it was
rigid.
the first one to do it. No one gets something 100% right the first time. Like, but it holds up surprisingly well. The original.
Also, QuickTime events started in 1974.
What? In what game?
Wild Gunman.
Oh.
All right. I mean, I guess you
heard
could
of it.
argue that the Dragon's Lair games are basically just a bunch of QuickTime events.
That's another one that's mentioned.
Yeah.
Dragon's Lair.
So, but Resident Evil 4 popularized them in like the kind of
for
the
sure.
format that we see today. But yeah, 74. Wow, that's so basically as old as video games. Like,
Yeah.
They have since been fixed, like in the context that we see them in Spider-Man now, where it's not
they're the least
burden.
offensive there for sure. Yeah.
Where it's just like you set down your controller because it's a cutscene, and then you realize that you're dead and you have to restart everything.
So in defense
really
of some QuickTime events, they sometimes really go ham with the animations of you missing a QuickTime event, of just being like demolished by something, which does make
The
things
newish
enjoyable.
Tomb Raider games come to mind, like the Tomb Raider, and then Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't remember if it was QuickTime events, but if you would fail things, she would die in very gruesome ways.
It was amazing. She'd get impaled by so many things.
Well, it's like she'd like there was one where if you're like floating down a river or whatever, and you're trying to avoid like getting hurt, but if you run into an obstacle, she just gets impaled like up through the bottom of her chin, through her mouth, and out the top of her head, and then she sits there and like struggles for a minute. And you're like, I don't know if I needed that in my eyeballs. Like,
I tell you what, I'm not going to miss pushing X again.
yeah, I'm gonna get it this time. Yeah. Incentive received. Yeah.
Oh man, I wonder if that guy like got a job from a horror game or was looking for a job at a horror studio. He got it.
Yeah.
All right. So right after this, you go and you find Luis in a body bag, and the big cheese, Vitoris Mendes, walks up and he injects Plaga into your neck.
Yeah. Mr. Eyeball,
Fantastic.
the big cheese.
I think they did Luis complete justice. He is corny, suave, handsome, charming. He is just as awful and seductive as any Spanish man thinks he is. This is perfect.
Yeah, I had, this is one of the few notes that I took for this game but I my note was that I like the remake version of Luis even better. I think he's great.
Yeah, I had this overwhelming urge to buy a used car from him as I was playing this.
Don't know what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Something about
I don't know what it was.
You know, it's funny because like playing the original and playing this, I was like, how is he a walking, talking cliche? And yet I'm completely okay with it. Like, you know what? Like, cliches aren't necessarily always a bad thing. Like, sometimes we need to allow tropes, and tropes are sometimes just a shortcut that we need to allow in stories. That's not a bad thing. Maybe if they're caricatures, maybe if they're like racist tropes, that's not. It could become a bad thing. But I didn't feel like this was a disservice to that ethnicity in any way. It just felt like it was a trope of that ethnicity that was fun. It was tongue in cheek, and
You
I
gotta be on the
well
right
in
side.
this,
and,
like-
and I adored it.
Yeah.
It fits in this kind of half campy world that Resident Evil 4 lives in.
Well, and I
so
feel
it
like
fits very well with the universe. Doesn't feel out of place.
I don't know if I want to get into this on the internet, but I feel like Capcom kind of learned their lesson with Resident Evil 5. That was a pretty big outroar, like outrage. What? No.
Outrage?
Uproar and outrage. Wow, I got those real messed up. But
You nailed
at
that
the
out of
time
the
where it
park,
was
Eric.
like that Resident Evil 5 set the game, in Africa, and it was just like a lot of black zombies and you're just mowing them down over and it's just like, but it's like Capcom aren't bad people, they're just dumb. Like
I don't
they
know
weren't
that
trying
is-
to be mean, they just didn't really think about it. Like
I don't know that. First of all, the developers are in Japan, so it's not the same thing as American developers doing the same thing, right? And they did a bunch of other ethnicities first, so I think
haven't yet.
it's
So
I
it'd be
think it's about the
racist to
order
not
of it.
do it in Africa.
Exactly. wait, is it racist if they don't do? Well, now it is.
Now it is.
I haven't played Resident Evil 5 to preface, but I thought
It's
that
incredible.
was
Yeah.
that was a big
didn't
argument
feel
at the
there
time.
was.
Yeah.
I've played it since then. I've played a lot, and I've never felt like, oh, this is a little bit racist, and maybe I need
that's
to check
good.
myself.
I
there
think
a
it.
little
I
bit.
think it's just like
but-
if you think it is, then it
Yeah.
can become that. But it wasn't the intention, and
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, then is Japanese people making white zombies racist? And like, I don't know.
To me,
then
where
that's
it was
me
set
sounding
in Africa,
like
it makes sense.
victim.
It's just like, oh, this is Africa.
Well, and I mean, in Resident
It's
Evil
just
4,
one other place.
you're mowing down a bunch of Hispanic people. Like all of the Plagas are set in like generalized, Spain-ish kind of area. Yeah.
I was just
And,
watching
like-
the Key and Peele skit yesterday where it's a zombie
Oh yeah.
apocalypse and they're like running away and then a zombie comes up and he's like and walks away and they're like, these are some racist ass zombies.
They walk up to a car with zombies and they lock their door.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Did he just lock
Like-
his door with the window wide open?
Like maybe if the violence had been so much worse and they went all in on the graphic violence of the fifth one and then they scaled back on all the other games, like okay, I'd be like, what's off about
Wesker
this
is
game?
a huge role in 5. Like you fight Wesker.
Chris!
Yeah.
A white
and
guy's the
there's
big
Sheva.
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sheva's
I mean,
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheva.
Sheva!
I was gonna say,
Resident Evil-
I do
Evil
remember
5 co-op was the best because you could just call each other Sheva, Caris.
I would say I remember. I think it was
Acting's
Tucker and
bad.
Shane. You guys were playing it. You played through it a couple times while we were all living together, and I remember a constant barrage of Sheva, Caris.
Some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard.
Yeah, good old Chris Redfield trying to smuggle watermelons in his arms.
Actually,
He
like
just got arms like this, and the
Well-
smallest head anyone's ever had. Yeah.
one like all of the original Resident Evil games had the worst voice acting ever.
Oh yeah, but it really works in Resident Evil 4. That
Yeah.
delightful campiness, except for Ashley, she's the worst. But we'll get to that when we talk about Ashley.
Yeah. All right, so Luis, I believe I saw that he was modeled after Aragorn, which checks out. He does
In
kinda
the
look
remake
like
or the original?
the original,
Oh,
but yeah, they wanted somebody to look sexy and handsome and to kind of compete with Leon's sexiness. And
was that? I mean,
Viggo
was it like
Mortensen
Viggo
is the
Mortensen's Aragorn? That was out around the same time, right?
2001 to 2003, and this was 2005. So he was
RE4 was 2005.
yeah. So this is peak
Oh, okay.
sexiness.
So early when I said I played it when I was 12, that's not true. I would have been 15. Still, that's 20 years ago.
All right, so he comes out the gate swinging with charm. So you rip the tape off, and he says, "That hurts, you know. Well, it seemed like you really wanted to talk. How observant, senor. Now say, you got a smoke? You know those things will kill you. Oh, well, maybe just untie me then." Just this tete-a-tete.
Just terrible
like,
dialogue.
both of them. They
They're
they
just
are
zingers
competing.
and one-liners back and forth. Yeah.
These two are competing for the most charming man in the room.
And they're the only two people in the room.
I know.
Playing to an audience of two here.
Yeah.
But
Always
during
fun
this,
to choke out a man.
yeah, Luis gets to
Oh.
watch the life, suffocate out of his eyes. So Luis tells him that he knows that he's probably looking for a señorita, and he says that's a good guess. And he saw the señorita heading. He saw what was maybe a señorita heading for a church, and then he throws the key and he heads off after they get unchained. And so Leon says to Hunnigan, maybe look into this guy. I don't know what's going on with him, and I want to know what's going on. And so we'll figure it out later. Also, okay, are you Team Hunnigan or are you Team Ashley?
As like romance prospects for Leon?
Okay, clearly they were trying to play this in the original game. They were saying
Well, in the original, I'd rather romance an old boot than Ashley. So Hunnigan.
Well, Ashley puts on the moves pretty heavily at the end.
Yeah,
but
at
then
the end.
Leon
Like,
goes for Hunnigan.
Why don't we do some overtime? And then Leon just shoots her down. Like, nope.
And then like
They
one
call the
shot
so many
later.
times.
Yeah. Then one shot later, he's like, "Hey, Hunnigan, how about
Yeah.
using me?"
Yeah.
Oh, she's the one
Yeah.
that's talking over the mic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
She's
her
also
name.
like 16, right? Like she's not.
She's
She's a
young.
teenager, right? Yeah. No.
Young
How old
enough.
is she? Okay. Young enough. What does that mean?
Young enough to
Young
make
enough
it
or
weird.
old enough?
No,
Yeah.
young enough to make it weird. Sorry.
Young enough if you're a pedophile.
Twice your age. No, half your age plus 7. I don't know. Too young.
I would believe she's like at least.
Are you looking it up?
8. Yeah, I don't know what the official is. 20.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oops. I have my image search on.
Yeah, but
Old
isn't he
enough.
like
Yeah,
30
20. Okay, it's
something?
fine then. 20, and Leon's like late 20s, maybe 30. Yeah.
Old enough for her to be used very generously on the internet. For the internet loves Resident Evil loves
Who
Resident Evil in
doesn't?
general.
Well, you know,
Resident
Jill
Evil-
Valentine. I mean,
Resident Evil, I believe, is like one of the most used franchises for porn. It is.
I was
It
not
is.
aware of
It-
this.
Oh, you look at the pie chart. Resident Evil is like number 1 or 2. It is very high up there.
Shan has intimate knowledge of this subject.
Can
Well,
you tell me which
You scroll on
website?
Reddit and you
Based-
see
Based on
your
Shan's
favorite
search
franchise be
history,
mentioned.
Resident Evil 4 porn is out of the park.
Yeah.
Can you tell me which website this is on? I won't even
Any
look.
of the porn sites.
Which one? Which one? I don't know. One of those disgusting ex-girlfriend porno websites. Oh, disgusting ex-girlfriend porno websites. Which one?
Yeah, I don't even know how to look that up without
Like animated?
real-
Yeah, don't Google it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
this would be like fan made stuff.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But
Yeah.
which one?
Which one?
I'm not even gonna.
No,
look. I might.
If somebody wants to pull up incognito and like look up the spread of like which
No.
which
No.
fandom,
I'm
I'm
gonna look
not
up the
going to touch
spread
that with a
of
10-foot
anything.
pole. No, thank you. I'll just look up like RE4 rule 34 spread. That should be fine, right? What could go wrong?
The word spread is going to really throw off your searches.
Maybe we need to move on. This part of the conversation has gone on long enough.
Oh, it's Pokemon, I think. Well, at least according to
obviously.
No,
this.
stop!
What was
I don't
the
stop. I don't want to hear anymore.
Then
next,
My
next
Little
thing.
Pony.
The bronies.
All right, this is just according to the site. All right, let's move
Can
on.
we cut all of this? I don't want to ever remember that this happened.
No. This needs to be known. All right, so we get the bridge section. They have built out this section. This was a very fun section in the original game. This is where you get the rifle, and they've added a bunch more bridges. There's a lot of blind spots. There's a lot of levels. There's a lot of spawn points. There's a lot of waves. There are barrels. There are a lot of traps. This is an excellently designed section. I love this section.
Yeah, super fun. Very cool. And just when you think you've cleared the area out, then more Las Plagas pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah. In the original, you could kind of get trapped at the beginning location, and they just kind of keep coming to you. I like in the remake, they were smarter about forcing you out into the lurch and getting the waves to kind of come in while you're already out there, and they come unpredictably and just really trap you. But yeah, there are a lot more traps out there, like bridges collapsing and stuff like that. But you don't have to fight any of them. You can just run out there, grab the puzzle piece, run back over, open up the bridge thing, the wall, and then jump back down and run out. So yeah, for speedrunning, this is a fantastic section as well. But pure chaos. All right, then you get your first chainsaw guy. This is cool for speedrunning as well, because if you kind of like make a sound, let him run out after you, then you can run past him, and then he starts at a section where there's a trap mine. Then you duck down, you sneak past the trap mine, and then he runs after you. He hits the trap mine, and he gets stunned for a while you run into the house. So
there you go. That's the pro strat.
Yeah, that's a pro strat. They leave a trap mine there to stun the chainsaw guy, so you don't have to fight him.
Nice. Didn't know that.
Toit. All right. Then you get to the house, and the big cheese is there. Why do they call him the big cheese?
I don't. Just because Leon is campy, and he's like, "Oh, you must be the big cheese." I think that's literally all it is.
His real name is Queso Grande, and Leon
Yeah.
is translating it for us.
That's probably all it is.
Yeah.
All right, so he shows up. He checks on your blood after squeezing your throat. He sees the blood vessels in your eyes. He sees that your blood has accepted the gift. And then Ada starts shooting through the window. Well, spoiler, sorry, Tucker. You see it's a femme fatale in a red dress. You only see her dress. And she shoots at Mendez. In the original...
I've played the game before.
Yeah, but you don't remember anything.
I've read some books. Jeez.
Yeah, so she makes Swiss out of the big cheese. And
also, I love that Ada is just wearing like the least practical outfit possible. It's like a red ball gown that's been ripped, and she's like in heels with guns strapped to her exposed thighs. And like,
look at me.
It's just the silliest outfit ever to be doing what she's doing.
To be doing spy work.
Yeah. It's like a bright red dress.
Yeah. I was remiss in this game that they did this change, because he just gets shot and he's like, I didn't like that. And then he walks away. In the original, he's infuriated and he charges at the window and he jumps out at Ada as she zips away.
Yeah.
And, but I guess in this, it kind of suggests like he's smarter of a character. And then that kind of makes him look like a lumbering doofus. So I don't know.
He has more dialogue,
it's a character
I
choice.
think, in the remake too. He talks a little bit more. I think I might be remembering wrong, but yeah, I like him a lot. I like that he's just like a brick wall, basically. In the original, Leon goes to like do his famous roundhouse kick him to the chest, and it just like stops, and he doesn't move at all.
Just grabs him.
He just grabs him and then flips him over. He's just like a walking brick wall. It's great.
Everybody works for Umbrella.
Those are the bad guys.
Those are the baddies.
All right, surprise. The wolf is actually outside of this house, and you get to save him here.
Yay.
So just a little bit of a subversion. So then you head back to the village, and they subvert you a little bit here as well. The tower collapses, and it just kind of changes the scenery a little bit, so it causes you to have to walk through...
I think it's raining too.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It just changes it how you have to walk through the area, but also you now have wolves in this area, so they now appear in a new way than they did in the original.
Well, how is it in the original?
It's at the church, right?
Yeah, the church is the first place you see the wolves in the original, and it is so incredibly dark. I had to change the brightness and the contrast on my TV to be able to see
basically just
them.
Glowing eyes in the original.
Mm.
They're
And they
super
are
hard to see.
assholes.
They are a lot easier to deal with in VR, like because you can just put more. They move really fast, and so when you're playing with like a standard game controller, it's hard to like get a beat on them. But in VR, it's just kind of like, gotcha. I always kind of dreaded them. Yeah, boom, click, click, click. I always really dreaded them in the original, but in VR, they are much easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I hadn't realized until I watched The Thing that there's a dog in The Thing that the alien ends up inhabiting and then transforms into this dog. So they straight up just lifted this creature from that movie.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Like,
you know,
the alien from The Thing just turns into like John Carpenter's monster. Like the alien creature comes out of the dog's back and then just starts like whipping its tendrils around. Right, Tucker?
Also, if you haven't watched The Thing, go watch The Thing. It is I Will Die on the Hill as one of the best body horror movies ever.
Yeah. It might be my favorite horror movie I've seen, but also best body horror.
Yeah, go watch it. It's fantastic.
Although because of this game, I downloaded. I curated a couple more movies.
Legally purchased. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'll get back to you after I watch Jeff Goldblum's The Fly. And is that a Cronenberg movie? I haven't watched any Cronenberg movies, but I know that that's some light inspiration for this game as well. And yeah, there's a movie that is like very specifically about a cult off of the outskirts of Spain that was made in 2001, and it's like and it is like a Lovecraftian inspired. It might be a Lovecraft story in the first place, but like, if there's anything that could have inspired this game, it was literally a Lovecraft story.
Yeah, I was very surprised playing it now of how Lovecraftian it is. Now that I know what Lovecraft is, watching, I'm like, oh, yep, this is that very traditional kind of religious occult, hooded figure type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, the Spanish language Lovecraft story Dagon tells of a Spanish fishing village called Imboca, where a cult worships the sea god Dagon. The story, based on Lovecraft's work Dagon and the Shadow over Innsmouth, depicts a place where human fish hybrid creatures are worshipped and outsiders are sacrificed. It's also a 2001 horror film. Lago.
Yeah, that's coming up in just a minute. Yeah.
Oh, also, I have some, I have some thoughts on that.
Oh my gosh, they also have a secta called Del Mar. So that's a little on the nose. Del Mar means of the sea instead of the lake. All right. So just when you think like all of your favorite things are original, they're all just like straight up amalgamations of other things.
People have been creating things for too long that like even the most original ideas, like we explored, especially in our Death Stranding video, ideas that appear extremely original are just people amalgamating things that they've seen before to make something unique. Because I do feel like Death Stranding is very unique.
The originality is now just
combining things in an original way.
Amalgamation that's never been done before.
Emily, did you just get ice cream and not give any for us?
What?
Rude.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. They brought me back ice cream. And
this is our sponsorship. What's the brand?
This is Cold Stone. I got cake batter and chocolate mixed with brownies and rainbow sprinkles. I usually get cotton candy, but I've already had it way too much cotton candy this last week. That's my favorite. This is my second favorite ice cream.
Person I've ever met that eats cotton candy
ice cream. I don't know why.
With the promo code SADDAD15.
Yeah. I wish.
We're gonna get that sponsorship.
Cold Stone. No, I don't know why. I don't feel like I should love cotton candy, but I am obsessed with cotton candy ice cream. Like, it's so hard for me to get anything else.
Yeah, my kids get it. It's gross. I don't like it.
Sugar flavored sugar.
Yeah, it's sugar flavored sugar. Yeah, exactly.
I am a sugar artist.
It's like when they did cookies and cream Oreos, and it was like, did you just make Oreo flavored Oreos? Like
Oreos.
Yeah.
It's a cookie within a cookie.
So Emily's going to be really quiet for the remainder of the episode.
A little bit. I might have them put it away, but I got to eat a few bites. Yeah. Keep going.
So also Mendez's final form is also The Thing inspired. We'll see that Las Plagas... Is
Mendez the big cheese, right?
The big cheese. Yeah. We'll see Las Plagas, the parasites, are definitely face huggers from Alien. Verdugo and U3 are xenomorphs from Alien as well. I can't remember any other that I had an epiphany about, but those are the most obvious ones. Verdugo is the most like, outside
You
of
need
this
to
franchise.
explain. I don't know the names of all of them. What's Verdugo? You got to
Verdugo
say.
is what's his face, the short guy, his right hand man, his henchman.
Oh, Ramon. They're like the bug
Ramon
monsters
Salazar.
that hang out with him. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you
Okay,
go fight
okay.
him in the basement, like
Yeah. Ooh,
that guy.
that part's
he's
the worst.
That's a xenomorph. It's
Yeah,
just a xenomorph.
that is. Yeah.
But the face huggers are parasites. But instead of on the face, they're inside of their bodies. It's like the only difference. All right, let's keep going. All right, so
Are we to
you
the
fight
lake now?
wolves. Oh, so I was gonna say I didn't love the wolf redesign in this game as much. That was one that's like they seemed a little dorky. The giant teeth and all.
They always had giant teeth, though. I kind of felt like they were always kind of dorky. So
Okay.
it didn't bother me that much. They always
It's
looked
just-
sort of goofy to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
terrifying, but goofy.
but everything else felt like the redesign was more grounded, and this felt too dorky in its redesign.
Hmm.
But it's
It
fine.
never really bothered me. But
Okay. All right, that was just me then. You get to enter the chapel and you see a lot of occult worshipping candles. You get to see an El Gigante skull for some foreshadowing. I loved that.
Also, I
Spooky,
love
scary.
later on where Leon's like, "Good luck finding something big enough to wear that or use that," and it immediately happens. You're like, "Wow, really on the nose there with that foreshadowing."
not subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, not subtle at all.
Yeah, this was like a really just sparse liminal space in the original game. There's just nothing in there, and in this game they just turned it into an occult worshipping space, and I just love that they had the resources to go ham on this game and to turn it into a really lived-in area. And yeah, it just made the whole game come alive. I loved it.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra flavor in every setting.
All right, so you get to the church. It's locked up, so you run past it, and you see La Policia is being dumped in to the lake, and you see some foreshadowing because the lago surfaces and eats the cop. So we saw the one that gets burned. This is the other guy, I believe. The one that gets. Is this the one that got murderfied in the basement?
I don't remember which one's which, honestly. I just remember the two police officers get murdered. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was a police officer at this point.
Yeah, what's the guy they dump in the lake is one of the cops that you're driving in the car with the car at the beginning. Yeah, one of
didn't
them's
make that
burned in the
connection.
middle of the village, and then the other one gets dumped in the lake. Yeah.
Oh, and one of them gets murdered in the basement. So burned
So
at
probably the
stake.
one that gets murdered in the basement, they took it to the lake to get rid of the body or feed to the lago.
Yeah. I actually, to your point though, I didn't make the connection that these were the same NPCs while I was playing the original game, but they were lower fidelity and stuff, so I wasn't making the connection.
It's all that natural anti-aliasing from your fancy CRT.
That's exactly right. All right, so they chopped up the game a little bit here. So they added a new section where you have to take a detour to go get gas for your boat. But in the original, they did have a section where you're running past some docks and there's some water all around and you have some waves of NPCs coming at you to fight. So they took that section, but they made it a dead end where you have to run out, get the gas, and then come back. And so it is faithful to the original game. They just added a new objective. And so I love that they kind of cut it up in that way.
Yeah, just another way that they're, staying true, but keeping it fresh somehow at the same time. I like, someone could do a study. I have no idea how they so effectively made it feel nostalgic, but different at this. They did it just right.
Yeah. This is a great section as well. Very memorable because it's got a lot of hidden corners. You get the sluggish water physics while you have hordes running after you. You get the boar heads. You have a lot of trip mines. You have snakes in the water. You get some stealth in here because there are a lot of blind corners. So so a lot of versatility in how you choose to approach this area. I tend to be brute force all the time. I have very little patience for stealth.
I think in Resident Evil 4, the brute force is more fun. It's more fun to just kind of run through
be
and
bombastic.
shoot things and well, especially in this area with
I have the
trip lines,
president's daughter to save.
Yeah, you got to save the president's daughter. Well, it's fun to like lure the bad guys near the trip mines and then shoot the trip mines, and like there's a lot of fun ways that you can be loud here.
Well, there's where resources aren't as scant in this game. It's I'm a brute force. Even in sometimes The Last of Us, I'm like, I really don't feel like sneaking around. Let's just blow all my ammo on.
Just kill everybody.
Yeah.
It still counts as stealth if there's no one is alive to remember.
Exactly.
That you were
there are no yeah. Never mind.
I did think stealth was a fantastic addition to the game, though, because there are sections where it's like it brings back the element of horror when they want to bring that with story or with whatever they want, you know.
It's also a nice
slows
option
down
to
the
conserve.
pacing.
It's also a nice option to conserve ammo if you're low on bullets. You can try to be a little sneaky to save those bullets.
Well, and like Resident Evil 2 remake, I don't think had stealth, and 3 didn't have it, and so yeah, it's just kind of getting back to, because none of the original games really had it, so stealth is a natural fit for horror. All right, so then Del Lago, he's an asshole. He's always an asshole, especially in the original. He's amazing in VR. I love him in VR. This was a double-edged sword for me. I thought the actual the spectacle of it in VR was so cool. And I was both equally pleased and a little disappointed with the control method, because normally when you have a grenade or something, you pull it off of your chest and then you have to move your arm to throw it, VR style. And so I'm thinking when you get on the boat that I'm going to have to do that with spears, and it's it's going to be immersive and fun, but it's I have no idea how I'm going to actually hit this guy by throwing with my real arms, because it's that's just a hard thing to do in VR, is to be really accurate throwing things. But they have this thing where you hold down the trigger and then you let go of the trigger and it just throws it where the reticle is pointing. Mm-hmm. And so that was I was glad that they did that. I don't know a better way to do that. It broke the immersion just a little bit, but I think the trade-off for having the actual mechanics work was the right thing to do. And the actual battle is incredibly immersive. It's so fun to the big waves rocking your boat around, and it was very cool.
It is. Assassin's Creed 4 straight up just took this entire mechanic and made it a thing when you are whaling.
When you can whale hunt and stuff.
Yeah. As I'm playing, I was I'm playing Assassin's Creed 4 right now.
Yeah.
Is the exact thing. So if you like this section, go play Assassin's Creed 4 and hunt some whales.
Lots of optional whale and shark hunting missions that are just a less scary Del Lago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is obviously just Jaws, but that's fine. Everybody knows this is Jaws. Also, how many times did you have to play this game before you realized you could steer the boat?
Again, I don't remember. It's been so long that since the first time I played that, I don't remember. But I'm sure that because I remember dying on this part a lot the first time I played. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that it didn't click with me at first. It
just pissed me off so much. And I was always blowing through all my health items. And then I realized I could just steer the boat. It made me
I can just move out of the way.
Yeah. Also, if you shoot the water I don't know in the remake, but in the original, if you shot the water before you got in, Del Lago would
too.
Okay, he pops out and he just eats you.
Yeah, when you're standing on the dock, you can shoot into the water, or if you shoot the fish, which is the same thing, I guess. Yeah, he pops up and eats, but it does it in the remake too. I wanted to try it in VR because I was ooh, this will be fun in VR. And then you shoot in the lake a few times, and then it does that thing where it takes you out of VR and it just shows a TV screen that plays. They billboard it. It shows the screen where it just plays a cutscene. I was oh man, I really wanted him to jump out of the water and be watch be eaten. That would have been cool.
Oh, by the way, this game has always had one of the best fishing mini games of any game that's ever existed.
Yeah, because you shoot them.
You shoot them, or you knife them, or you harpoon them.
I didn't know you could fish.
secret fishing mini game.
Yeah. There are sometimes
you
like
can't,
pools
but
of
you
them, or sometimes you're at the dock and like if you get back in your boat, you could harpoon them. Or you could shoot them.
I remember shooting like bass and stuff.
Yeah.
So you could just lose
evil way of fishing.
Parts. Yeah.
You could just lose so much time just like trying to not waste bullets so you can slash them.
Just waiting for them to come up to the coast so that you can.
And you never have like any inventory space for any of the fish because they take up a ton of space. But you can sell them.
I watched this very detailed YouTube video that went through and like listed all the different video games that you can fish in, and it ranked every single one. And now I'm realizing I don't think this was on there. But it was a very fascinating video. I don't know why I enjoy watching stuff like that. Yeah, call them out.
You watch that one YouTube channel that does like the speedrun cartoons.
Yes. Terminal Montage.
Terminal Montage.
Yeah.
That one.
They're great.
It's not my type of comedy, but I watched this game and there was like
the Resident Evil 4 one is really funny.
So
there was 2 or 3 parts where I just like bust a gut, and it was he gets to the fish and he just like shoots them, and I'm like, that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are funny. Go check those out. Terminal Montage.
That and the Zelda speedrun one.
I was gonna say I like the Breath of the Wild one a lot, and the Resident Evil 4 one is really good. Yeah.
Shan had me watch it, and he can confirm this. I was cackling. I mean, I couldn't breathe. It was so hysterical to me. I couldn't handle it. Like basically shrieking. I was shrieking with laughter.
They do one where it's like it's Super Mario World, and that one just cracks me up because it's Mario doing all of like the Super Mario 64 speedrun tricks where he's like backwards long jumping and then just moving super fast through all the levels. And there's one part where he's just like he gets into Bowser's castle, he like kicks down the door and he's just like, here we go. I just like screams and then goes crazy. Cracks me up every time.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, so after this, you pass out from La Plaga, and you have a vision of infection that wakes you back up, and then you drive back to shore. It's been 3 hours. Hunnigan's pretty mad. Then it gives
she's worried about her boo.
Yeah, she's really into you. So this feels like one of the most modern reinventions of the game. They give you a fantastic downbeat where you just get to go treasure hunting as liberally as you want in the game. It feels like this is what, if they were to remake Resident Evil 1, this is what like the mansion could become. Just
I love this
open
part.
Exploration.
Yeah, where you can just explore the whole lake. And like this is where you get one of my favorite guns in the game is you get the Red 9 like on the middle of that island. It's because it's just like you can get the stock for it. It's a really effective handgun. If you upgrade it, it's pretty powerful, but uses the normal handgun ammo. And so it's one of my favorite guns from the original game. And so I like using it in VR, especially because the way that you reload the gun in the game is like Leon, puts like, there's a thing that slips the bullets in the top, and then there's a pin that you like, that has to be removed from the gun. And in the game, like when you reload, he inserts it in the pin, and then Leon just like super cool, just like flicks his gun and the pin flicks off and then like falls to the ground. And so when I first got that gun, instinctively, I like reloaded the gun and then I flicked my hand like this and the pin just popped off and I was like, I'm the coolest person in the world. And I found out that like the game prompts you're supposed to like grab the pin with your other hand and pull it out if you're lame.
That's awesome. It let you.
Yeah, I love that it lets you, like, you don't have to pull it out with your other hand. You can just reload the thing and you flick it off like a cool guy. And I was so completely tickled by that one little detail in VR that I could flick the pin out just like Leon does. And it's the only gun I use now because it's my favorite.
I had never gotten the Red 9 in the original because like reloading was a pain, and I never saw its value, and I just never understood that you just get the stock and it becomes the most powerful gun in the game.
It's basically a rifle, like when you get the stock, because it's super steady and like the reload time is a little bit longer, but you can upgrade it to hold, I think it's like 20 bullets, like each clip is like 20 or something like that. So it's like, it was my favorite gun.
I'm using it now. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I
it's good
ditched the
stuff.
Punisher immediately.
Don't do the stock in VR though, because if you keep it like on your hip when you in VR, like the stock like pokes up like almost right in front of your field of view. So it's not don't do the stock in VR because it's like a handgun hip holster, but then it's got this huge like stock on the end of it that just gets in the way.
That gun has basically no kickback because it's as steady as your hand is. Like that is one upgrade you can just completely like it's a complete bypass in VR.
Yeah, I don't know if the stocks do anything in VR. I think maybe the TMP stock like makes the spread a little less because it's like an automatic weapon, but I don't know if that's true or not. You could probably just avoid the stocks altogether.
Mm-hmm. All right, so in this section you get your first Plaga's head explosion, and they staged it very well.
It's my gosh, so cool.
Yeah, so they force you into like this crouched position so that it constrains your vision. And then as you're crawling and you can't move that quickly, you hear some chanting from a ritual, and then you see some hard light casting a shadow on a wall, and you see somebody's head pop. And then you see a Plaga, whipping its nasty head around. I love how they did this. And then he pops around the corner, and you get to take him on. Just well done, well crafted.
Yeah, very, very cool moment. I think in the original one, you're walking down kind of like a narrow pathway, and you see it in the distance. And I think it's trying to get you to use your rifle because that's probably the most effective weapon for them is you just pinpoint accuracy right in their fleshy bits that are popping out of their neck. So it's like down the path, and he's walking slowly, and his head pops open. But I like this one. Just kind
of starts whipping around. It's like, go ahead.
Yeah, but I agree. I like this framing a lot better. It's a little more tense. It has more of like a horror atmosphere, and it's another example of them kind of balancing the more serious horror tone with the silly campiness. Because the original game is mostly just silly camp. You don't get a lot of the like weird cultist horror that you get in the remake, where there's some parts that are genuinely like culty and gross and unnerving that aren't quite there in the original. It's mostly just campy horror. But I feel like you get a good balance of both in the remake.
Well, and this also alludes to like they're not just being controlled by these plagas; they are actively trying to ascend by going through these rituals to go through this growth process.
Turn into icky goop monsters.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think if you wander around for a while, you can find the other hiker murdered and stuff. I think you can find some clues to how the other one was killed. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played it. I only found it like once or twice. It's pretty hidden. You get to find the other... you get to find El Gigante, finally. In the original, I prefer the original, how they staged this. You get out there, they trap you in this arena, and a bunch of idiot villagers pull open the door, and they have him chained up, and they start pulling him out, and then they're like, oh no, like, cuidado, and
cuidado.
And El Gigante, he gets like all infuriated, and he breaks loose like this angry monster that they can't control, and he starts
I do really like El Gigante's design. I in the original, he always looked like the cave troll from Lord of the Rings movie to me. Like he's got that same kind of vibe where he's got the kind of goofy face with like the big eyeballs and the slack mouth, and he's just very large and punchy. Like
this is a lot easier than the original. In the original, you could never really run fast enough to turn around and shoot him. And you
could go
never
between his legs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You could never run into huts long enough before he could just destroy them and crush you inside of them. The dog is epic, but he's far more helpful in the remake. And, in the remake, they staged the dog reappearing to feel as big and as epic as you remember it, but it is actually pretty small how he appears and helps you in the original.
Yeah, in the original game, he just kind of shows up, and Leon's like, oh, there's that dog. But then in the remake, he like jumps up on a cliff and howls, and lightning strikes behind him, and it's this like a superhero has come to save the day, and like it's awesome.
That was great, very epic.
Like he even like lets down a cliff on El Gigante and it smashes him in the head.
The devs 100% understand how much the Resident Evil 4 fans love this wolf. Like, they were like, he is a superhero. Everybody loves him. He's the coolest character in the game.
Mm-hmm. And like it was like little moments like this where it's like, okay, if somebody just like some sterile developers were put into a room and they just were handed a copy, they're like, okay, so I just remake this but bigger, they would have no context of what nostalgia has done to warp our the memory of what this game is, or to know how powerful these moments were to us contextually at that time. But these people are clearly passionate about the source material and also felt those things at that time because they knew exactly. Yeah, it just kind of happened. Balls to the wall on staging this in the remake, and just make it into something it was never supposed to be in the original, and I love that.
Now, the Chainsaw Sisters this time around, I remembered kind of when they were coming and how much I disliked them. And so I had like 6 grenades and just like a attaché case full of shotgun rounds because I had been saving them up. And so they bust through the wall and I'm just like, grenade, 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 blast, blast, blast. And then just like everyone was dead. It was great. No one stood a chance.
I love the Chainsaw Sisters, but what I really loved was how Leon unnecessarily like jumped and did a backflip off the wall. He's so extra. He couldn't have just pushed himself away or ran away. So extra. You took the time to do a backflip. I love him.
He reaches out for the lever and then they like do a double chainsaw through the wall and you're like, well, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then
he does the coolest backflip.
The coolest backflip because everything has to be parkour. And then he says, sorry, didn't realize that was yours. But then he goes in for
best.
But then
sorry, didn't realize that was yours. His like gravelly it's perfect. Like it's so dumb.
But then whenever he can, he goes in for a double hitter. It's like he double dips on his lines whenever he can, and he shouldn't. You shouldn't get 2 lines at the same time, but he does. And he says, sorry, I'm a one lady kind of guy.
Yeah. I love it. It's the best.
It's just like it's so indulgent and it always works. So good for you guys.
It's just like because you can have games with dialogue like this that are just you're just rolling your eyes, but there's this level of self-awareness that makes it so fun and so silly, and it's the best.
All right, but after El Gigante, you actually before the sisters, you run back to the church. You do get to have the church dogs attack you, so you still get them. You just get other dogs before that they've added. So they do subvert it by... so if you've played the original and you're expecting the dogs at a specific point, they're like, psych, you get them earlier. So I think that's what they were going for by injecting them earlier, which is cool. All right, so Ashley attacks you in the church. And you let her free. Then villagers start swarming the church. They don't want you to leave. And so you sneak out the back. And then a storm has approached. And so the helicopter can't land. And you got to figure out what to do with Ashley. She is so much more pleasant in this game. They figured out, this is...
I mean, they had the original Ashley set the bar pretty low. She's so annoying in the first game.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Ashley before we started, and I had to clarify with everybody that Ashley in the remake is 1,000 times better than Ashley in the original, because I remember Ashley in the original being the worst part of the game, making me want to quit 1,000 different times. And then when we first get Ashley, I'm like, oh, this is not as bad as I remember. Am I just better at video games? No, they just fixed it.
Yeah, it was her acting, but it was also just like, it's one of the worst escort missions that has ever been made.
when it's like half the game is just a escort
It's
mission
too
for
much.
Ashley. It's too much. Yeah. And I remember at the times in the game where she would get kidnapped or something and you would have like a chapter without her. It was never like a, oh no, Ashley. It was always like, oh, thank heavens. Like I get a whole chapter where I don't have to deal with this lady. Like,
Right. But also probably the worst thing is that she had health.
Yes.
So she would drain your resources, and her AI was so bad that she was constantly getting into danger and getting herself hurt.
Yeah, I like how the remake handles it a lot better because she doesn't have health, but she's still able to, like, if bad guys swarm you, then they can pick her up and carry her away. And if they leave the, like, whatever combat arena or area or whatever that you're in, then you lose and you have to start over. So it's like there's still danger with letting Ashley, like letting harm befall her, but you're not constantly having to manage her health and like keep her out of the way. And, you know, it's a much more enjoyable experience but you still feel like you have to protect her and keep her safe. And so it's the right balance of those two things, I think.
Like,
yeah, she does a great job. The original Ashley is just like nails on a chalkboard. She drove me crazy, but
right.
I like this depiction of her. I feel like she's a lot more personable. I really like the kind of back and forth that her and Leon build up. I think that they develop a nice little relationship as things go on. And I found their conversation and their character growth together a lot more fun while still maintaining that like silly camp that I love so much. Hang on, I'm going to look up her name.
Yeah.
So
I've never heard an actress.
Did you just mumble so I can butcher it?
Yeah, I'm going to look it up and I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Yeah,
because I was going to say I can't wait to hear Eric mispronounce this name.
Hang on, it's going to be good.
I've never heard a voice actress portray fear so convincingly, like the way that she kind of collapses in on herself and she feels so small. It doesn't feel like she's acting it, just like it feels very authentic and raw. And so I had realized that I hadn't experienced that authentically until I heard this voice actress. I thought it was very sincere.
All right, I practiced a couple times in my head. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Genevieve Buchner, or Buckner, maybe.
I think it's Buckner.
Yeah, but she's great. Really, really enjoy her performance in this game.
Yeah, and Capcom just has the most attractive character models of any franchise that's ever existed.
Especially Leon.
Yeah,
I was just waiting for it. I was like, Emily's got something to say. I know she does. Yeah.
Gorgeous man. I'm obsessed with him.
My number one is Jill Valentine.
Heavy for Leon, and
I mean, we all are. Let's be
honest.
All He's a handsome man.
Yes.
He's got a sculpted face, but like for me, it's Jill number one, and then it's like maybe Ashley, then Claire. Claire's like gorgeous, but it's a little more generic, and I think I like that Ashley has a little more like unique features that make her stand out than Claire. The Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh. I just like love everything about Leon. Gorgeous man. But all of the unnecessary flips and roundhouse kicks and just the flair that he has. And the way that he just keeps turning down Ashley, he's like, nah, like so respectful, and just everything about him. He's so silly, and I love him.
I love that he basically just looks like a Backstreet Boy. Though.
Yes,
it's just like Nick Carter murdering zombies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If he's gonna be a Backstreet Boy, it's gonna be Nick Carter.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not AJ. Yeah.
I played Silent Hill 2 after this. I'm like, James is just a Temu version of my man Leon.
It's just dollar
kind of like
store
a similar
Leon.
look.
Yeah.
And like similar haircut and color.
I mean, the original games were, I guess they weren't around the same time. Silent Hill 2 came out a few years earlier, but
yeah.
I've been binging a lot of games just the last couple of years, so this is all new for me.
All right, so you run with Ashley all the way back through all the areas that you've already been. It's pure chaos. The villages are out in throngs. They want to capture you. And you run to what I think is actually Luis's cabin. I saw some notes that said it was.
I never put that together. I don't know why. Obviously, that's his cabin, like in the original and the remake, because he's there and you hold up there together.
Mm-hmm.
That makes total sense.
Now,
oh wait, I almost forgot. I just saw in my notes. It's one tiny thing, and then you can move on. Who caught the pancake joke? Did anyone catch the pancake joke? When you're fighting El Gigante, Leon almost gets smashed, and he goes, I was almost a pancake. And then that's like a Resident Evil trope is in I think it's Resident Evil 1, is like one of the famous, really poor delivered lines is one of the characters goes to Jill's like, you were almost a Jill pancake, because she almost got squished by something.
That's really
and so
good.
I heard that and I was like, that's the pancake line. Anyways, that was a really terribly delivered bit of trivia for you, but it made me laugh.
Assuming that's what it was actually referencing.
I don't know what else it could be referencing. It would have to be.
It could just be
right?
he was almost a pancake because he was smashed.
Nah, it's both. It's got to be both.
It could just be a food reference.
It would have been better if he said I was almost a Leon pancake, but
yeah, that would have worked. All right, so in the original, they bastardized this in the remake, but they did it on purpose. So they get there, and Luis just says "encantado." Now that's just him being him, and it's still funny. But you don't remember what he says in the original. He says, I see that the president equipped his daughter with ballistics.
Smooth move there. Straight for the booby joke. Yeah.
So much funnier. Her boobs are so huge in the original compared to her figure. And so he's not wrong. She probably has a boob job.
Yeah, but it's just very much like early 2000s humor where it was just like, there's a girl in a video game, let's talk about her boobs. Like,
yeah, exactly. This was like the halcyon days of video games where it's like everybody was just these stick figures. They had they just had perfect teeth, perfect whatever. I mean, they weren't very good at models. They still couldn't render what they could render now. Arguably, they like this game obviously looks better than it did now. But like, so boobs were just as big as they could get, and everybody was just generic looking doll faces and stuff like that. And so like developers had no compunction just giving the biggest boobies to every girl that was on every game. Which is arguably why every gamer is so upset with any game that doesn't have big boobies.
It's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest. We don't have to get into it. It's the dumbest thing to get upset about. This video game character in the remake isn't pretty enough, and it's like, oh no. What a terrible thing for you to suffer through. Like,
still exist.
So dumb.
Guess what? I didn't get horny replaying Resident Evil 4 the original. Ashley is not
attractive. Go to the remake enough for that.
Yeah. You go to the remake.
You go to Ocarina of Time. Go to the Great Fairy.
Giant boobies. Yeah. Giant boobies. Not attractive though. She's a butterface.
Yeah, it's something about the Great Fairy, something about that scream when they jump out of the fountain. That just not a fan. Yeah.
All right. So at Luis's cabin, you get some boards that they created in the Resident Evil 2 remake to slap on the walls. It's pure chaos. It's much bigger than the original. You don't get to resolve the fight like you do in the original. Eventually, you just have to run off and you cross the bridge and you just have to shoot down the bridge to end the fight. And then Ashley coughs up blood, and Luis explains the plaga, says it's possible to remove at this point, but you need the right equipment and know-how, and then he shows his scar because he's already had it, he's already removed it, and he has a plan. He needs to be trusted. Leon agrees to trust him, but wonders why Luis wants to help, and Luis insists it will make him feel better. And then Luis just kind of wanders off and sees Ada, and Ada wants the amber. He doesn't have it at the moment. Ada says, we don't get him out until he has the amber. No protection. And then it's said that the helicopter can approach him better, whether I mentioned that earlier. So, yeah. So Luis and Ada are colluding, and Ada is playing for the bad guys, I guess it's alluding to. and we don't know what Luis's real motives are. Are they good or are they bad?
It's a mystery.
It's a very deep story, very important.
Yeah, it's really complicated. A lot of complex emotions going on.
A lot of layers.
A lot of layers. No, but I love this. Just before this, the part where you like the battle in the house, where you're just having to hold things off. Particularly playing through this time in VR, it was especially tense and really, because you are in first person, so you're limited. Like your field of view is just a little bit less than it normally would, and so I got snuck up on behind a lot more than I normally did, like playing through the first time. And so very tense, super fun, really cool encounter from a gameplay perspective. Had a great time with that. Just TMP, pray and spray. Just like you just spin in a circle and just.
I've never bought the TMP. I think it's a waste of a gun.
It kind of is. I know that it's not a good gun, but it's fun, and so I.
Okay. I love the cabin because like they designed it this way for fun, right? But like all of the horde just like congregates right at the stairs, and then you just get to spray them down with the shotgun. And you just do that over and over and over again.
It's very satisfying to knock down like 5 or 6 guys with one shot.
Yeah. All right, so after the Chainsaw Sisters, you get to the big cheese chase. This replaced the gondolas in the original game. Probably a good call. The gondolas are a little bit frustrating in the original. Not a big loss. And
did you mess up this chase at all? I got to the point where it's like you get to the spot where the bridge is supposed to be, and they're like, the bridge is out. And then I'm like, okay, what do I do? I died or Ashley got kidnapped like 4 times, and until finally I was like, oh, there's a little path off to the left. It's like, it's not hard to see. It's like right there. I just missed it for some reason.
I missed it a couple times on a couple playthroughs. Yeah. And Ashley, like, sometimes I think that she can keep up with me, and I don't realize I have to actively be shooting people.
Just running the whole way like, she's fine, come on.
Yeah.
Leon!
Help me, Leon! All right. So after the big cheese chase, he then attacks you in the barn, and he says, cease your pointless struggling, abandon your body to the will of our God. And Leon gets another line. We should be counting these, by the way. You're a shitty missionary, you know that?
I love it. Every opportunity that Leon has to just be a ridiculous cool guy, he's there for it. Like, it's the best.
And it's just like everybody just is too serious, and he's just undercutting it. That's all it is. Juxtaposing their seriousness with just like, why the hell are you so serious? That's all his jokes are, and it always works. Yeah, and then so we get the John Carpenter body horror. He's in the shape of a giant plaga, which I don't think was lost on anybody, right?
So cool. Yeah. Like the symbol with like the big hooks on the he just looked like that logo, that symbol for the plaga.
Yeah. And he kind of looks like a scorpion too. Yeah, and then after his legs get chopped off, we get another line. I think your tap dancing days are over. Because of course.
That never stops being funny. Because you can't tap dance if you don't have legs. Do you get it?
Zing.
Yeah. Never a dull moment with this one. After he dies, his eye pops out, and because you have to, you jump out of the window with as much energy as you can.
How else are you going to get down to the ground floor?
Well, and it's like there's a ground floor window that I think you can go out of, but it's like, who's gonna? Leon could easily like stay on the ground floor and then just kind of like hop over that window, but nuh-uh. You got to go to the second floor and you Superman jump out of the top window because that's just the kind of guy Leon is.
Yeah, and then you just like head off to the castle, and that's the end of this act.
Castle time. So we're low on time here, but I want you guys to help me remind me next time. There are some really funny, what I consider to be plot holes in just the general plot of like what the bad guys are trying to do. So stay tuned next time. I'm gonna write down my thoughts and get into that a little bit, but it's some what I think is pretty funny stuff. So
yeah, maybe if we don't vamp for the first 20 minutes about other games, then we could fit it in.
What? That doesn't sound like us.
I don't think we've ever mentioned a game that is not the game we're talking about. I think
We're always super on
focused
topic.
on what we're supposed to talk about.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Any other thoughts for now?
We went this entire time without mentioning the inventory system, which how because it's the best inventory system. I don't know why all games don't do it, but
yeah. Auto sort, I was bummed at first. They allow you to manually sort it, and I tried that a couple times. But if they don't force you to sort by hand, then you're gonna auto sort. So I ended up auto sorting the entire game. And now that I'm doing it manually, it's like it really is fun, forcing you to slow down the pacing and just kind of cathartically clean up your inventory. It's nice.
It's like in Luigi's Mansion when you're like, I'm gonna vacuum up all the curtains and all the dust, and it's just like a nice little tidying up interlude in between the more tense moments. Where there's not a lot of tense moments in Luigi's Mansion, but like in the more high octane gameplay, it gives you an opportunity to just like have a downbeat and sort your herbs and your guns and your ammo.
So that it was a bridge between the original inventory system and modernizing it to something new. And also the economy system is unrivaled. I love the economy system in this game with the treasure hunting. And Resident Evil 8 is the only other one that adopted it with the merchant system.
Well, and I love the getting the different gems and slotting them into different things. And then in the remake, they take it a little bit further. In the original, it's like you just slot 3 gems in and then it boosts the value. But in this one, there's like different bonuses for different kinds of gems. And like if it's 3 of the same color, it's a lot more. And if you get 1 of each color, it's a little bit more. And so that's a lot of fun. And also what I really like is in VR, you can like grab the mask or whatever and then grab each gem and like slot them in one, which is dumb, but it's super satisfying to like.
They had
bloop,
to.
bloop. Yeah.
They're like, if you're playing this with your hands, what is anything that any person would expect you to do? And we just have to do it because it would be so delightful. Yeah. If it's delightful, we have to do it. We have to waste time doing it.
Like I said, they this one and Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village, I guess, are the 2 best VR games I've ever played, and they weren't originally VR games. They're just every first-person game should have a VR version. I would enjoy every first-person game better if I could also play it in VR. Mm-hmm. I've been loving it. It's super fun.
Yeah. Also, maybe I'll talk about this more later, but like. This game is also accomplished as being one of the best paced games in history. Just, it is almost impossible to want to put down. And the only thing that forces me to is just lack of time. Whenever I hit, something that was too tense, it slows down for just long enough for variety. All of it is perfect. I've never seen anything like it.
It reminds me heavily of an arcade game. Just the nonstop action and pushing you forward and explosions and all of that. And, with something like The Last of Us, you're going to take your time to scavenge and you can go into these big open areas. And there's a lot of really chill moments. But this is just like, do your little scavenging, but we're going to move this forward. And there's going to be all these chaotic things happening. And you just have to keep pushing forward. So I liked that it played like an arcade game. It was refreshing for me. Tomb Raider has the same kind of vibes for me. I just feel like I'm playing an arcade game.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Please like, comment, subscribe. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. And please watch Eric's Indie Corners on Thursdays. Bye, everybody.
You have to. Watch Eric's Indie Corner.
Do it! Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Outro. Bleepy doof, bleepity bloopity blow.